Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Prevention Voices Washington webinar series, Washington Legislative 101. Today's webinar is going to be about crafting a message to policymakers. My name is Megan Moore. I'm from Kitsap Public Health District.
And my name is Christopher Belisle. I'm from Educational Service District 112. Today, we're going to go over engaging with a legislator and how to craft your message. But before we do that, there's just some 101 tips we want to share about why this matters. And the first thing we want you to know is that preparation is so essential. It's really helpful for you to have some talking points, an outline, or a guide created that you can refer to during your meeting. Meetings are super fast, and this is one of the reasons why we want you to be prepared in advance. Oftentimes, legislators are scheduled their whole day in about 15-minute increments. And so you'll come in, but the meeting will happen super, super fast, and then you'll leave. And it's like a whirlwind of excitement. And if you have some talking points, and we're going to teach you how to do those today, you will feel much more confident and prepared as you engage with them. And hopefully your message will be received more effectively. Your message should fit with the current political context. There are so many issues that legislators work on every day. They're in and out of different committees, and they also see so many people in a single day, more than we probably see all week as prevention folk. And so it's helpful if you have a very, very clear, specific, and concise message that fits the context of what the legislator is working on in their realm of work. It's also important for them to know who this message is being delivered by. Oftentimes when a prevention coalition coordinator or staff, when we go to the legislature and share a message, oftentimes we're not simply speaking as a citizen or a resident. We might be speaking on behalf of a whole coalition, and that coalition probably has a whole range of experiences and beliefs and values. So it's really helpful for us to have a message written out in advance. That way we can make sure it's inclusive of all the people we're representing. We might also even represent a health district or a larger agency that has its own political philosophies, values, ideas, or non-political stances. And so having a message in advance that we can help you craft is going to be key. Of course, the caveat is we absolutely always want to be bringing personal stories, personal experiences, and our volunteers with us that can more freely share those ideas. And finally, it's important before you begin to really think about what you're sharing in a clear, concise, and impactful way. Anytime I meet with a legislator, I usually brainstorm a whole waterfall list of things I want to share. There might be 30 things on there, and then I go and I present 2 of them. And it's so painful to cut that out, but it really makes it so that my message is heard, especially because legislators hear from so many people every day. We want ours to be memorable and specific. So how do you do that? How do we go about crafting this message? On this next slide, we're going to show you. So once you get a meeting scheduled with your legislator, there are 6 steps here that we can help you to craft a message with. And the first thing you want to do is introduce yourself. Hi, my name is Christopher. I'm from Legislative District 55. I just made that up, but we're going to go with it. And it's important for them to know what district you're from, because as soon as you acknowledge that you're from their district, it's always like, oh, good, this is my citizen. I'm supposed to be serving you. They really appreciate knowing that they're speaking to someone that they are directly reporting to as an elected official. You also want to share your agency, your background. Who are you representing? And they should also know this in advance, so it's not a surprise to them that they're meeting with someone who might have an agenda. After your introductions are done, that should be very brief, by the way, maybe 30 seconds to a minute. We don't want to share a whole context of our coalition, everything about our community. We want that to be just very quick, and then you move forward to the most important part, which is your message. Your priority issue is what you want to bring up next. So as soon as you introduce yourself, then you say, this is my stance. This is the one thing you need to remember from this meeting. I believe blank, or I am concerned about blank, and make it very, very clear that this is what I'm here to talk to you today about, almost like a thesis statement or a one-sentence summary of everything else that happens in this meeting. Give a little bit of background after you do that on your issue. What are some of the details? What do other people believe about this issue that might be different from what you just said? Acknowledge some of that stuff. And then you do want to go into the facts and statistics that support your claim or idea that you're presenting. It's always helpful to have, of course, personal ideas and opinions, but when we're meeting with a legislature, they're always going to ask for the data. What does the data say? What are our community members experiencing in terms of numbers, quantitative, qualitative, all of that thing is helpful. And local data. We don't want to necessarily only provide national data or statewide data. It's really helpful to bring it home in this person's specific legislative district, what is going on with our young people, with our data rates, our trends over time, things like that. And data is always more impactful when it's complemented with a personal story or an anecdote from someone in your community specifically. And I also encourage you to bring that person with you. If you're sharing someone's story, it's really powerful and moving when the testimony can be shared by the person who experienced it. I would say it's okay to make space in the meeting for this type of interaction. You could share a 4-minute story or so, and because that's really going to be what they will remember, the emotions behind it. They might not remember your facts and statistics, but they will remember the feeling they get when they hear a shocking story or a moving story or a persuasive story or a surprising story. Maybe there's something going on in your community, your local conditions that your legislator has no idea that was even a thing. Bring those stories out and then back it up with your data beforehand. And of course, as I mentioned before, we want to be really brief and concise. Legislators meet with so many people every day. They want you to share with them in a nice little package. Here's my package. I've got a 10-minute thing, a 5-minute thing, and now there's time for discussion afterwards. I would actually, never mind, it literally says keep it under 5 minutes. So we want to keep it brief and respect their time, especially because the whole goal is after you do your pitch and you share, then the beauty comes from that discussion time afterwards, where they can ask you questions, you can ask them questions, and get to the core of the issue that you might not have had if you accidentally take up the whole 15 minutes with your speech. Then you don't get that interaction and relationship building. It's a great idea. We always end with 5 words to remember. Now that I've done my whole 5-minute speech, here's the things that I want you to take away. And it's just making it super clear. If they had other things on their mind, if they got lost in your data, if something wasn't clear, here's what my punchline is. Here's the one thing I want you to remember, 5 words. That could be a sentence. You could literally even just say 5 words like prevention, power, youth, wonderment, I don't know, a bunch of things. Or it could be like, oh, I shouldn't think of things on the spot. Yep, I'm not going to give you an example. I can't think on the spot, but 5 words to remember that summarize what you said. And it would be great if you look on this slide, step number 2, your priority issue, step number 6, if those were basically the same thing, but maybe condensed in the final step of your presentation. And that's how you craft your message. Once you're there, once you get that all out, then the beauty happens where you can engage authentically. Make sure you're being present and in listening with the best active listening skills you can. Give them direct eye contact, nod, acknowledge what they're saying, have good posture, look your best, do your best, and just really be present in that moment so you can respond to them effectively and clearly. When you're meeting with your legislator, if there's ever any question they ask and you don't know the answer to it, tell them you'll follow up and then do that. Make sure you do follow up with them. We don't want to be making promises we don't deliver on, but it's best to not try and like guess at what the answer is, but instead say, you know, I haven't researched that yet. I'm going to add it to my list and get back to you in a week, and then be able to do that. But that is really the summary on how to craft a message for your legislator. Megan, do you have anything you want to add to what was just shared?
No, I think you summed it up, Christopher. And the only thing that I really want to stress is prepare. I know we've said it a few times, Christopher said it a few times, but prepare for this meeting. It's not necessarily something that you just fly by the seat of your pants. Really have your message ready to go. And once you have prepared, or maybe before you've started to prepare, you need to set up a meeting with your legislator. And you can do that a few different ways. You can either call their legislative office. In the interim, you may be calling a district office, but during session, you may be calling the office that they actually have on the legislative campus. So you can do it that way, or you can also send an email to the legislator. Anytime you send an email to your legislator, you need to include their email and their legislative assistant's emails. The legislative assistant is the gatekeeper for those emails. And if they see that a constituent is looking to have a meeting, they will forward that along and notify the legislator, hey, this is an important meeting, and put it at the top of their list. So that's why it's really important, if you include in the subject line that you are a constituent, right? If you, some examples at the bottom, if you say, hey, we're in this coalition in your district, or these are high school students in your district looking to talk to you, that really puts that email at the top of the list. And I'm actually going to go to the legislative website so that you can see where we are finding this roster list. So I want you to commit this website to memory, leg.wa.gov. It's an easy one to remember. There's a lot of information in the left-hand column, and you can find your legislators' bios and also how to find your legislator up here in the Find District tab, in the Senate tab, or in the House of Representative tabs. You can find a lot of information there. But if you know who your legislator is, I want you to go to this right side, scroll down, and find the roster list, which, there we go, find member information and rosters. And you're going to look at the House and Senate roster, where you then go up to members and click all. You can sort it by Senate or by House if you know where they are. It's listed alphabetically. So for example, if you want it listed by district, if you don't know your legislator's name, you can list it by district. Say, okay, District 1, these are your legislators in District 1 right here. So you have all their information. This is their email address, and over here is their legislative assistant. Again, don't forget to CC the legislative assistant. And then over here, they've listed their phone number that that you can schedule a meeting with as well, if that's what you prefer. I might actually recommend that you do both, that you call and send an email.
Kind of along those lines, if there's ever a time when you're meeting with or scheduling a meeting and it turns out they are unavailable, and then you get to meet with their aide, never, ever, ever be disheartened by that, because oftentimes our aide is like the most powerful person you can meet with, because they tell the legislator a summary of everything they met with you about. They set the schedule, they set the agenda, they forward all the information. Like they are a gatekeeper, but they also have a lot of authority in that sense. And so there's been times where I've met with a legislative aide, and they remember me, and they remember our coalition and our youth. And so the next time we wanted to meet with them, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I remember you. Yes, please." Like my legislator would be ashamed if I didn't take this meeting. Like they really do an incredible job. And so never be disheartened if the legislator themselves is not available to meet. It's still worth meeting with their aide.
That's a really great point, Christopher. And just always important to treat the aide and the legislator with as much respect as you can. Even if you don't agree with the legislator in your meeting of something they said, you're not going to get into a debate with the legislator during a meeting, right? Just be really respectful, and be respectful to the aide as well. So I think that's all we have for you. You've got all the information you need to create, craft a message, and also to kind of peruse the website to find your legislator and get this meeting scheduled. So if you have any further questions, you can email myself or Christopher here. And you're doing great work just by watching this webinar. If you need any help, let us know. Thank you.
Thank you so much.